Hey, so in this video, what we are going to do is we are going to compare two arrays. So let's say we have two arrays. Let's assume that they are of same type. In this case, you can see on my screen, I have two arrays, ARR1 and ARR2. Both of them are of integer type. And let's say I want to compare them, whether they are equal or not. Okay. So what do we mean by whether two arrays are equal or not? So basically, both the arrays should have same number of elements. This is the first thing, and the second thing is all the elements needs to be exactly same. Okay, so if both these conditions satisfies, then we can say that both the arrays are equal. So in this video we are going to see how we can check whether two arrays are equal or not. Okay, so let's quickly get started. So we have two arrays, AR1 and AR2. In this case, you can see first array contains 1 2 3 4 5 6. These are the elements, and in second array we have 1 2 3 5 5 6. Okay, so you can see these two arrays are not equal because over here we have 4 and over here we have 5. So these arrays are basically not equal. So basically we need to write some logic, or we need to write code to detect whether two arrays are equal or not. So let's quickly get started. Let's see if we can write something like this. Can we write something like, if ARR1 is equal to ARR2, then we can say that cout both the arrays are equal, followed by slash, and let's say else we can say that arrays are not equal. So I'll write cout arrays are not equal. And so far everything seems good, right? Because if you see, the editor is not showing any error. Let's try to compile this code. So I'll write g++ 04, this is my file name, equality.cpp, and then I'll execute it. See, compiler didn't give any error, so syntactically nothing is wrong. But let's see what happens if I execute the code. So if I execute the code, you can see it is giving the correct answer, kind of correct answer. It is saying arrays are not equal. Okay, so basically we are getting expected answer. Now what we'll do is, see over here this 5 was creating problem because it was not equal with this element over here. Now I'll try to equal it. Okay, so now you can see both the arrays are equal. Now ideally when I'll run this code after compilation, obviously it should print both the arrays are equal. Okay, so let's see whether this happens. I'll compile this code and I'll execute it. You can see it is still saying arrays are not equal. Okay, so basically this code is syntactically fine, but it is not fine logically. Okay, logically it is not correct. So let's understand why this code is running and why this is giving result as arrays are not equal every time. Okay, now in previous video I just introduced you with one term called as address. So I said that whenever you refer to name of the array, array name basically indicates address of an array. Okay, now this address term can be a little bit scary to you right now, but don't worry at all, because we have one dedicated module called as pointers. In that module you will get complete idea about addresses and other stuff related to the arrays. Okay, so right now don't worry about it, but right now just understand address is like some unique value, unique address which is going to be associated with every array. So basically array 1 is going to have a different address and array 2 is going to have a different address. Okay, it's like two separate homes, right? So if we have two separate homes, then they are always going to have different addresses. And basically whenever you are writing ARR1 is equal to ARR2, you are comparing two addresses, because as I said, name of the array refers to its address. So basically you are comparing two different addresses. Doesn't matter what elements you have inside the array, this expression is always going to result into false C value. Why? Because address of ARR1 is always going to be different than address of ARR2. Okay, and that's the reason, doesn't matter what is present inside the array, it is always going to result into false C value, and that's why every time this else body is going to be executed, and that's why every time it is going to print arrays are not equal on the screen. Doesn't matter what is content inside the array. Okay, what elements are present inside the array. So this is the issue in this code, and that's the reason in order to check whether two arrays are equal or not, you can't write something like this. Okay, this equality operator is not going to work. Okay, so we need to write some custom logic in order to check whether two arrays are different or not. So let's quickly get started. See, the first thing that we will test is whether both the arrays have same size. If both the arrays don't have same size, that means they have different number of elements. Let's say one array has 3 elements and another array has 5 elements, then we can say that arrays are not equal. Okay, so let's take the size of ARR1 is going to be size of ARR1 divided by size of int. Similarly, let's take size of ARR2. So size of ARR2 is going to be size of ARR2 divided by size of int. Okay, now we can say that if size of ARR1 is not equal to size of ARR2, okay, then we can say that cout arrays are not equal. Okay, see, if both the arrays don't have same size, we can say that arrays are not equal. Okay, now let's assume that both the arrays have same size. So in that case, let me write one else over here. So if both the arrays have same size, then we'll basically come inside this else statement. Okay, so if we come inside this else statement, then can we say that both the arrays are equal? Can we say that? The answer is no. We can't say arrays are equal because we just checked the size. We just check how many number of elements are present in the array. That doesn't mean all the elements which are present in both the arrays are equal. Okay, so in this else we need to write some more additional logic to check all the elements, to check all the pairs, whether all the pairs are equal or not. If all the pairs are equal, then we can say that the arrays are equal, otherwise the arrays are not going to be equal. But if the size is not same, then we can directly say that arrays are not equal. So I hope you are clear till this point. If you have any doubt, you can pause the video at this point. You can try this much code on your machine and try to see what you are getting as the output. See, I'll try to execute this code till this point. So let's compile the code, let's execute it. You can see it is printing arrays are equal question mark. Why it is printing arrays are equal question mark? Because in this case size of both the arrays are same. But now if I, let's say, remove one element from ARR1 and then I'll compile and execute it once again, you can see it will print arrays are not equal, because in this case both the arrays don't have the same length or same size. So I hope you are clear till this point. Okay, now let's move ahead. Let's say both the arrays have same size, so we are coming inside this else statement. Now we need to decide, or now we need to check whether all the pairs, see, this is the first element and this is the first element from second array. So whether all the pairs, like this pair, this pair, this pair, whether all the pairs are equal or not. If all the pairs are equal, that means the array are equal. If any single pair is not equal, let's say if there is one pair or there are two pairs which are not equal, then we can say that array are not equal. Okay, so how we can do it? We will write a for loop which will start from 0 because the index starts from 0. Then this I will go till size of ARR1. See, in this case, in else, doesn't matter if you write size of ARR1 or size of ARR2, because both of them are going to be same. If they are not same, then you will not come inside this else. In that case, you will go inside this if. Okay, in every iteration you will increment I by 1. Cool. I hope you are clear till this point how I am writing this for loop. Now what we will do is, inside this for loop we will check whether ARR1 of I, whether it is equal to ARR2 of I. Okay, see, we are going to check whether ARR1 of I is equal to ARR2 of I. If ARR1 of I is equal to ARR2 of I, then can we say arrays are equal? Can we say arrays are equal if ARR1 of I is equal to ARR2 of I? The answer is no. We can't say arrays are equal. I'll tell you why. See, let's say if I is 0, okay, so it is going to check whether ARR1 of 0 is equal to ARR2 of 0. So in this case, you can see ARR1 of 0 is equal to ARR2 of 0. So it will print that arrays are equal. But this is not correct, right? We need to check all the pairs. If let's say this pair is equal, but let's say next pair is not equal, then in that case this output is not correct, right? So basically we can't say arrays are equal till we checked all the pairs, or till we have checked all the pairs. So basically what I'll do is, see, I'll remove this C out from here. I'll write it after this for loop. Okay, and now this is very important. Focus very carefully. See, checking whether two pairs are equal or not is actually not good thing. Ideally, we should check whether there exists some pair which is not equal with each other. Okay, we actually need to check whether there is some pair inside the arrays which is not equal. Okay, so for that, what I'll do is I'll write a condition like this: if ARR1 of I is not equal to ARR2 of I. Okay, so if this condition arises, if something like this happens, then we can directly say that arrays are not equal, because we have got a pair which is not equal with each other. We can say that arrays are not equal, and now we have one pair, right, which is not equal with each other. So we don't need to check the further pairs. We don't need to do that because we have already got one pair which is not making the array equal, and that's the reason we can break from the loop. We don't need to continue the loop. Okay, we don't need to check the further elements. We have already got the answer that arrays are not equal. Okay, now how we will know that arrays are equal? Okay, let's consider ideal scenario. Let's consider that arrays are actually equal. Then in that case, how this code is going to run? See, in that case, the size is going to be same, so we are going to come inside this else statement. Now this for loop will run. Now what will happen is this for loop will never take us inside this if body, because this condition will never become true because all the elements are same. Okay, so as all the elements are same, we'll never go inside this if statement, and as we are never going inside this if statement, never this arrays are not equal will be never printed on the screen. Okay, so basically after the for loop we will need to add some check. Okay, we'll need to add some condition which will check whether we have gone inside this if statement or not. If we have gone inside this if statement, then we don't need to print arrays are equal. But if we have never went inside this if statement, then we can say that arrays are equal. See, if we have never went inside this if statement, that means arrays are actually equal. We didn't got any pair which is not equal with each other. But if we are going inside this if statement, that means we have got a pair which is not equal with each other. So to achieve this, what we can do is we can create one boolean variable. Let me name it as, let's say, flag. Let's say initially it is going to be false. Okay, and then whenever I'll go inside this if statement, I'll make it as true. Okay, now see, if you never go inside this if statement, then ideally your flag should be false. Okay, so over here what I can do is I can check the value of flag. If it is still false, that means we never went inside this if statement, because if we go inside this if statement, I am making flag as true. Okay, but if it is still false, that means I never went inside this if statement. And now what I can do is I can, if this flag is false, that means I never went inside this if statement, so I can say that arrays are equal. See, I hope you understood this logic. See, this is very simple logic. What we are doing is we are writing one for loop. Inside that for loop we are writing one condition. In that condition we are checking whether there is one pair, there exists some pair which is not equal with each other. So to check that, what I am writing is if ARR1 of I is not equal to ARR2 of I. So if this happens, then what I am doing is I am setting this flag to true. So basically after for loop I'll be able to know that I went inside this if, that means arrays are not equal. Okay, and then I'm printing arrays are not equal, and then I'm breaking from the loop because I don't need to check further pairs. I already got a pair which is not equal with each other. Okay, I hope you remember this break statement. We saw this break statement in a module called as looping statements. And then after this for loop gets completed, basically that means that we checked all the pairs and we never went inside this if statement. That means the flag will remain false, because as we never went inside this if, the flag is not getting set to true, it will remain false. Okay, so here I'm checking if flag is false, then I'll print arrays are equal. So let's test this code. I'll compile this code and I'll execute it. You can see it is printing arrays are equal, and let's see whether they are actually equal or not. You can see they are actually equal. Okay, now let's try to mesh them. Let's change this element to 10 and let's see whether they are equal or not. You can say these printing arrays are not equal, because in this case this pair is not equal with each other, and that's why basically it will print arrays are not equal. So see, this code is little bit logical, okay, but I hope you enjoyed watching this video, because this was a logical code that we wrote. I guess this is the first time we are writing some logical complex code, basically, I'll say. So try to pause this video here, try to execute this code on your machine, and try to go through this code, try to understand how this code is working, and definitely, I know you're a bright kid, you'll understand how this code is working. It's kind of simple, it's not that complex. You'll easily understand how this code works.